Hello, and welcome along to the stream tonight. I hope everyone is doing well. In terms of what we're going to be looking at tonight, I thought we would kind of just jump straight in. But basically, I haven't got any concrete big plans for tonight. I kind of wanted to see how it went. Hello, Maurice in the chat room. I'm good. Been a funny old day, but getting there. So I don't think I'll be doing much in the way of coding tonight. I think it's going to be more in the line of just doing some investigation work. I've got some PRs to review and potentially merge in to Cake.Recipe, and I might have to back out a commit that was made into Cake.Recipe as well, all with a view to getting the thing shipped. So the reason that I've got some investigation work to do is I had a chat with Pascal on which day did I speak to Pascal? I spoke to Pascal on Sunday, I think. Yesterday, I spoke to Pascal, and as a stakeholder in Cake.Recipe, so he utilizes Cake.Recipe across pretty much all of his cake add-ins. So he's like myself and Kim. He's a big user of Cake.Recipe, and he's got a couple of issues with it that would, in his mind, prevent him from merging into or getting the 2.0 release shipped. So I said to him that I would investigate the issues that he has and try and find a solution. And if we can find the solution, document that so that we can use it going forward. So the first one that he has a problem with is with GitVersion. Now, I personally think it is a configuration issue with GitVersion, but we need to figure out what that configuration issue is. So just before the stream started, what I did was I created a new Git repository here. So there's literally nothing in this repository. All I've done is Git init. I've added a few empty commits to it, and that's it, right? So what I've been doing is I've been running GitVersion on this branch, which is the develop branch, and I've been watching things increment so that the asserted version number makes sense. So if I do another commit here, which has got nothing in it, we will see if I run GitVersion again, the number has gone from 2 to 3. So GitVersion is counting the commits since the develop branch was created and since the last tag. So in this case, I don't have any tags, but it is counting the number of commits since the develop branch got started. So this makes perfect sense. So the problem that Pascal has is if he cuts over to another branch, so let's say we check out another branch called release 0.1.0 from the develop branch, and we run GitVersion again, then what we should see is that the new GitVersion number is beta 001. And that's fine, right? This is GitVersion doing its thing where it is now incrementing, or it's now created a new beta 001 release, right? The issue that Pascal has is if I do another commit here, which would simulate potentially a CI build happening. So let's imagine that we run the CI build on this release branch when we first created it. It would have created a new Git package version that is 0.1.0-beta 001, and that's fine. It would have sent it. But let's imagine I've created another commit and I want to build that and publish that new Git package again. Then the problem here is that new Git version hasn't incremented. Now it's incremented in the full semver, but it hasn't incremented in the NuGet version, which doesn't use the full semver by default. So the problem is, how do we allow for multiple commits on the release branch to generate unique version numbers so that Pascal and potentially others can push multiple packages from the release branch without tagging. Because what will happen here is if I do a git tag and call it this, right? Git version will stamp that as beta 1. Beautiful. If I do another empty commit and run git version again, now the asserted version number is 02. So it will increment it based on the tag being present, but what I think Pascal wants is to use the full semver for creating the NuGet package. Now, what I don't know is what to do for the best. Hello, raiding party from Freestyle Coder. Appreciate you coming along. I've just kind of finished saying what I'm going to be working on. I've just kind of started the stream tonight. Not planning to do much coding tonight. It's more of a investigation stuff, investigating different issues that have been raised, potentially merging some PRs, and potentially, if I get round to it, some continuous integration setup. So that's the plan for tonight. So, Kim, I saw that you were in the chat room. What are your thoughts on what should be done here? Is this a Git version configuration issue that we need to address, or is it something else? Should we? I don't know how to fix it. Is my problem. Everything after the plus sign being everything after the plus sign being everything after the plus sign in which version number are you looking at? You're looking at this, the informational version? Oh no, the full semver. Oh, I see what you're saying. So what you're saying is that wouldn't help. So if we did go down that semver route, that wouldn't be supported with Cake.Recipe for Chocolatey packages, because Chocolatey packages doesn't support semver in any way, shape, or form currently. So what I'm wondering is whether we need to create a custom configuration specifically for release branches and hotfix branches. So, I mean, we could test that. I mean, we could do, what could we do? We could go over here and steal a NuGet package and then run NuGet pack on it to see what it does with different version numbers. So if we went over to here and went into, well, let's just have a new one of these. Let's open a new one. And let's go into CD, into GitHub, organizations, Cake contrib. Let's just go into itself. Cake contrib. I said contrib, but I went and build Cake.Recipe. And in here, we should have a I'll do it in there. Okay, so fine. So if we go into CD, Cake.Recipe, NuGet, I won't have. Oh, I do. So we could do NuGet pack, and then in here we could run NuGet pack on that with a version number that looked like the other one and see what we get out of it. So we could take this and run it here and see what happens. So over here, what did it do? Yeah, so even the semver wouldn't help. So that leads me to think what we might need is a custom configuration for GitVersion in order to make this work. So if we were to go over to GitVersion configuration, because obviously the issue that Pascal is seeing is when he runs multiple builds on the release branch with different commits, when attempting to push the NuGet packages to different repositories, he gets an error because the package already exists. So it causes problems. So what I'm wondering is whether we can control the asserted version number that's ultimately used, or whether we need to create one when we are knowingly on a release branch stroke hotfix branch. So use a variable if not null or fallback otherwise. So there is a way in here of controlling things to make it unique. Expressions in curly braces reference one of the variables. No. Well, that didn't work very well. Oh, that's totally my fault. It's totally my fault why that link doesn't work. Actually, why am I going to GitVersion.net has got the actual documentation. Docs, configuration, variables. So in here, one of the variables is used for the assembly file versioning format. Specifies the format of the assembly file version and overwrites the value of the assembly file versioning scheme. Questions in curly braces. Okay, so that may help. So then the question then becomes, currently, what are we putting into the NuGet package? So when we run packaging, which is this, when we run NuGet pack, push packages, it wouldn't be NuGet space pack, it would be just NuGet pack, wouldn't it? The version number that we are using is the asserted sem version. So that, back to content, back into parameters, I think is where I want to go. Into build version semver. So that there, that might be calculated elsewhere actually. Build version, build provider. Here, so build version semver. So where is that set? What do we set that to? Semver is set to the legacy semver padded, which, as we've just seen, is that one there. I wonder. So what's going through my head is if we go back to just have a look at the develop branch a second, if we run GitVersion again, so it's got that in it. Git checkout, release branch. What happens if we go back over here and we run this again, but let's take the legacy server padded. Hello Nils, how are you today? I'm currently trying to break Cake.Recipe in a way that doesn't break lots of stuff. So I'm not convinced it's going to work yet. How would we feel about generating a package version that had beta whatever and then the commit counter? So effectively what I'm trying to get to at the minute, Nils, is I want to be able to control the package version number when I'm on a release branch. So Pascal has raised the issue that if he's on a release branch and he is doing multiple commits on that release branch, the generated package version isn't unique. So the package version is driven by this thing here. So every time I do another commit, so let's do another commit here and run GitVersion again, this number isn't changing. I'm here. I'm here, Maurice. Hello. Can you see me waving? I hope you can hear me. I hope I'm here. So what I'm wondering is whether I can formulate a new legacy server padded made up of this and the commit since source version. And if I can do that, I'm wondering whether that makes sense when I'm on a release branch or a hotfix branch. So then what I'm wondering is whether there's more than, so I can't do it as a format, so it would need to be done. I'm still looking at the wrong one, so I'm going to remove that one. I would need to do it in the Cake.Recipe, not as a configuration. So any thoughts on what I'm suggesting? Does it make sense? Or are we aware of another way to do it? Unless a version gets implemented in GitVersion, yes. But I don't think, I mean, that won't happen anytime soon, I don't think. So what I'm wondering is whether we just take it upon ourselves to do it. So it doesn't look like I'll be able to do it through a format. So if we search here again, so there's a format for the file version, for the version, and for the informational version. But there's not a format for anything else. And the bump so what I'm suggesting, Nils, is that this would only happen. So this would only happen on a release branch or a hotfix branch. So on a release branch or a hotfix branch, I'm suggesting that we take the full semver, the legacy semver padded, which is this one, and then add on a dash with a commit since version source. And that would give us a unique package version when on the release branch or the hotfix branch, and then when you cut over to master or you cut over to develop, it would not do that anymore. It would go back to the way it is just now. So does that make sense? I'll wait for a response to that one. Should probably use... You're probably right, because otherwise it would... Yeah, it just gets... Yeah, I don't disagree. So I can't think of a reason to not do it like that. So we would need to do that. What's issue 597? Why have I got that branch open? So issues is 597. Support parsing to toggle between stable. Okay, we've done that. Git checkout. Develop. Git fetch upstream. Git rebase upstream. Develop. Git branch. Git branch minus D feature. That one. Git push origin. Okay, so if we do this, if we do this, we should be able to do the following. So in GitVersion, currently, this one, we are setting the semver to be, go away. I think we should create it in multiple places. Rather than create it in multiple places, we should do it. And we do have something in here, which only comes from the build provider, doesn't it? So the build provider has the concept of whether it's a pull request. Does it have information about the name, the branch name? There is something in here that is hotfix, right? Oh, I thought we had that. I thought we had that. What's this? Oh, here, branch type is this. So where do we set that up? And does GitVersion have access to it? I think it should. So we would know the branch type. Okay, so over here in GitVersion, we should be able to say whether the branch type is a release branch or a hotfix, so we'll be able to do that work knowingly. So we could say so we leave that one because that's the default when we can't use GitVersion. So we would come down here and we would say if we should calculate the version, release build, publish build. Then we come down here and we say that the semver is this thing. So we could create a new variable called string. I hesitate to use the term unique semver, but that's what's springing to mind just now. Come back to that. So we could say that unique semver is equal to string.concat the Why are we doing a string.concat there with nothing in it? That's for a different day. We could say context.environment variable concated with a there, concated with a environment variable that would be this. So we would take this, right? And then we would take this one. And we would say GitVersion underscore that. Okay, so that gives us a unique semver that is the combination of the legacy semver padded and the GitVersion commit since version source padded, right? So then over here we could do the same thing and say that unique semver is equal to string.concat. That's basically going to be the same thing, but done slightly differently. So let's take this. I'm going to remember to go back and put a semicolon on there. And this is going to be asserted versions dot legacy semver padded asserted versions build source padded calculated semantic version, right? So we haven't used this thing yet, but I'm missing a dot. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I'm missing 2 dots. Thank you. So then don't need to worry about that just now. So in here we would need a new public property up here that is public string. No, we wouldn't want that. We would say here, we would say build parameters dot branch type, guessing now, but we said branch type this, copy, branch type equals that, or no one's shouting. So I'm working on the assumption that you're all in agreement with what I'm doing here, because if you're not, now is the time to say that you don't like it. So if the branch type is a hotfix or it's a release branch, then we want to use unique semver. Otherwise, oh, hold on, Kim's got a valid point there, right? We'll come back to that. And I've also, I guess for the sake of 2 for invariant, and I missed a semicolon somewhere. Where did I miss a semicolon? Trying not to interrupt you so you can get this done. See what you're doing, Manfred. So yes, I agree. So we would need to say if it's this or this, and No, I can just say and there. I don't need to worry about it, right? Boolean logic and build parameters dot is tagged, and we're not tagged, then we use unique semver. If we are anything else, we use the asserted semver. What do we think? What do we think? I'm going to make sure I haven't done anything silly while I wait for any. What now? Oh, I'm in the wrong folder. CD out of there, CD in Cake.Recipe. And then build. Oh, I did? Well, that's why I wanted to run the build. You missed a semicolon when concatenating the asserted version numbers. I did. I thought that was the one I went back and fixed, or did I not? No, you're quite right. Thank you very much. And that's what that's telling me. Maybe. Let's run it again. I think that's what it was telling me. I'm going to assume that a scorpion, and I don't know what they're saying, so I don't speak whatever that language is. Hey Frank, how are you? It's still going there. 103. What's GitVersion 103 complaining about? 103 unique semver. Oh, I see. That there. Oh, that one. String.concat. There. I think. Can we all keep it in English? It would be good. Grade of 38 from Microsoft Developer. Hello, folks from Microsoft Developer. Hello, happy to see you all. Here on tonight's stream, I'm trying to break stuff and then fix it again. I work on a project called Cake.Recipe, and what I'm attempting to do here is to, when I'm running on a specific branch, assert a version number that will be unique. So that's kind of what I'm doing. So what do we think, Kim and Nils? I know that you guys have got a direct input on this kind of thing. So are you okay with there being an override when you're on a release or a hotfix branch? Because I personally don't have an issue with it. As I said to Pascal when I was talking to him, when I was talking to Pascal at the weekend, when I cut the release branch or the hotfix branch, I tend to do that locally. I don't normally push it, but because he's using Cake.issues that have got multiple different dependencies, he quite often pushes those beta versions to NuGet. So this was directly impacting him. So I think I'm okay with it. Hello, Johan. You did a PR in a Cake add-on once. That's great. There's lots of them to pick from, so feel free to jump in and do another one. Was probably fine with me. I didn't push. See, and that's the thing, Nils. I tend to cheat a little bit, but like I say, Pascal was showing me his Git history where he is pushing out, say, Cake.issues. He has a fairly long-lived release branch where he does multiple betas, and each one of those incremental commits onto the CI server was then failing because it was attempting to push the NuGet package and it fell over. So No need, you cannot play music in the background, sorry. Can you play Mass No Gang in the back? I don't. So I'm a fairly basic streamer. I don't have any background music or any sort of fancy stuff. I tend to stick to what I'm doing. So the issue in question was the issue that he raised was this one. So 616. So I think effectively this is what we're fixing. So we tried to look, or I had a quick look to see if there was a GitVersion configuration that would allow us to do it, but there's not. So GitVersion doesn't allow for that. Whether it should is another question. But for now then, I'm going to say, let's just have a quick look at the changes that we've got going on here. So we added a new local property called unique semver. We knowingly set that to a concatenation of the legacy semver padded with the commit since version source padded. We knowingly did that again when we've got the asserted version numbers coming back from running GitVersion, and then based on whether we are branch type hotfix or release and we're not tagged, then we'll return that unique semver. Otherwise, we'll return. So we haven't broken anything other than potentially when we're in a release branch or a hotfix branch. So I'm happy with that, I think. So GH 616. When did Gary become support? Manfred, I'm hurt. So similar, I got raided by quite a few people. I don't know where you've all come from, but I do appreciate you coming in. So if you've got any questions about what's happening on the stream, feel free to ask. And if I don't get to the questions, there's a couple of folks that are in the chat room that have been here since the start. So they should be able to answer any questions if I missed them. So I'm going to go ahead and commit this into what was 616. So we're going to say create unique version number when running multiple commits on a release hotfix branch. Git version doesn't assert. I'm going to type that properly. Doesn't assert a unique, I'm going to spell that properly, unique version number unless a tag is applied. To counteract this, concatenate two asserted version numbers to make a new unique one when running on a release or hotfix branch. Okay, so I want to commit that. It came from the Microsoft Developer Channel. Thank you very much. Was that? I didn't check what was on before I came on stream because I was trying to fix a few things, so I didn't see what was on over there. But I do appreciate the stock. I met Frank for the first time in person at the MVP Summit, and then he wasn't an MVP anymore after that. So, but I got to meet him in person at the MVP Summit, so I can say hi. So I'm going to push this up. So git push upstream. And okay, so there's one other thing that Pascal wanted me to check out, and that was to do. And Nils, if you're still in the chat room, I think this is something that we broke. I'm going to say we, not just me this time. I'm going to say that we broke this. So, when Pascal is on a release branch like this, I might need to use my fake repository for this. So let's go and find my fake repository so we can test this out. So I've got a Git tools fake repository. Like the way you're denying all knowledge. No, so I believe there's an issue when it comes to generating the release notes when you're on a release branch. So how can I test this out? It's to do with the change when we moved to use the milestone when we are, was it the milestone? We changed something with regard to how the version numbers calculated, or specifically in the context of release notes. So we go and have a look over in GitVersion. Then when we create it, we use the build version.milestone. And what we did over here was we made a change, I think. Because what's happening now is, if you imagine the scenario that I run the release notes creation when I'm on this branch, I would expect it to look for a milestone called 010. Now, what Pascal is telling me is when he does this now using the latest version of Cake.Recipe, it looks for not for a milestone called 010, it will look for a milestone called 010-beta 001. Now that to me is a break, and we shouldn't be doing that. And I do remember that there was a change in this area. I just don't remember the details of why we did that. So I'm going to try and look to see where that would have been done, and then look back in the history to find the changes that were made. So in here, we build version.milestone. So I didn't see any obvious changes in there. Oh no, you see we do. So we set that to be Semver. I wonder, if we look at 101 and the history of that 101, let's see what changes were made. So this is in Cake.Recipe, it's in content, it's in GitVersion, and let's have a look at the blame. And scroll down to 101. Set milestone. See, we did something in GH80, but if we go back in time a little bit, see if there were any other changes. Force lowercase. No, it's in a different area now. So what do we do over here? Maybe it wasn't nils, it was maybe, oh, it was me, oh dear. Set milestone to correct version number. There's a slight edge case where artifacts are pushed to the wrong GitHub release. Rather than set milestone to major minor patch, use the asserted version number. Oh, so what did we do here? I'm not 21 anymore. So maybe this wasn't a conversation that we had, Nils. That was maybe something else I'm remembering. I think this is now causing problems. So previously this was looking for the version. So the version would have been the major minor patch. You see. Okay. So what I'm wondering is whether we need another additional check here that if we're on a release branch, we use the major minor patch. What do we think about that? So it would be a similar check to what we were doing here, but we set the milestone. We're kind of already doing that. Oh, no, we are doing that already. Hold on. Oh, I wonder if he's doing it when he's tagged. I might have to go back to him on that one. So if the repository, if the commit is tagged, or we're passing in the create pre-release, we'll use the milestone. Otherwise, we'll use the version number. Yeah, I might have to go back to Pascal on that one, or tell him to watch this video back, because we're about 47 minutes in, so I'm going to note that down. I'll tell Pascal to watch it from about 47 minutes in, and I'll say to him that based on what I'm seeing here, it should be using the major minor patch when it is generating those release notes. But I'm wondering whether he can't be generating it. Maybe he is. Maybe he's generating the release notes after he's tagged. So it's coming back to me why we made that change, Kim. Yes. I'm just wondering whether I'm wondering about what his workflow currently is to get to a point where it wouldn't work the way it wants it to. Because I think, based on what I'm seeing here, it should work. That was changed by me, otherwise we wouldn't be able to create stable releases when not running on master. Yes. Okay, so I'll leave a note with Pascal to go back and watch this video from about 47 minutes in and get him to confirm whether or not what his process is to get to that point. And if we can get a set of repeatable steps, then we can address that. But I think we've addressed the main thing that Pascal was worried about. Okay, so with that done, with those two things done, I'm going to say that this is now. Has anyone else noted that? Has anyone else noticed this? There's a new thing here that is conversation or show all, and I don't know how to change that default. Whereas have I got a pre-release feature here? It's hiding the commit message, and I don't like it because I don't see the commit going into the activity stream. I only see the conversation by default, and I don't necessarily like it. I sort of want it to not do that. Hey Brett, how's it going? Oh, it is a feature preview. Frank is indeed stalking MVPs in here. Yes, he is. I'm going to turn that off. I don't like it. So this feature should no longer be on. There we go. Right. I'm going to say Pascal. Have you done your presentation, Brett, for the Hacktoberfest event that's coming up? I'm not quite finished my one yet. Oh, really? Oh, I haven't done mine. So I should point out there was a tweet earlier about it. Let's go to twitter.com. Let's go over here and find it. Let's find a tweet from Craig. I'll bring it up. So copy copy. I'm going to paste this in here. So Craig Porteous and Paul Broadwidth are organising a Hacktoberfest event. So anyone who doesn't know what Hacktoberfest is a month-long event by the guys over at DigitalOcean, the guys and gals over at DigitalOcean, as well as additional sponsor. I forget who the additional sponsor is this year. It basically encouraging folks to come along to GitHub and raise PRs against repositories, and if you submit 4 valid PRs into repositories through the course of October, you get a free t-shirt. I've done it for the last 5 years, I think. It's great fun. It's a bit of fun. And what we are doing, so myself, Brett, and Chrissy Lemaire are doing talks at said event across the between 12 o'clock and 4 o'clock here in the UK. So whatever time zone that is for you, there's a link in there that you can find it. Yes, Kim, that is 12 p.m. here in the UK, so that would be 1 p.m. for you. And BST, yes, that's my assumption as well, Brett. So Brett, myself, and Chrissy Lemaire are all doing talks. I'm doing one on GitVersion, Git Release Manager, and how to maintain and keep your GitHub releases up to date is what I'm talking on. Brett, I don't know if you wanted to, or does it say in here what we're all doing? Maybe it does. Let's click on the link and see what it says. Oktoberfest Scotland, rules and rewards, schedule. So Brett is session title is to be. Oh, that's not true. I've told him what the session title is. And Chrissy is doing the GitHub CLI, the interactive command for people who love GUI. So then this explains what Chrissy was tweeting about earlier, and she was collecting ideas. So that explains that. So yeah, that's coming up. So feel free to jump in here and register for that event. Hopefully we'll see you all there. Brett is doing going back to basics with GitOps, demystifying Git for ops folks, and sounds good. So bit of fun. Come along, ask questions, and if you've got any, if you're just getting started in open source, it's a great opportunity to ask questions, get started, and get a free t-shirt as well. So and I can extend. Oh, where is it? Did I put it in here? I forget where I put it. I've got a picture of all my. I've got a picture with all my 5 Git Hacktoberfest t-shirts all together, but I can't remember what I've done with it. So yeah, let's not do that. Okay, what I was doing though was going over here to look at some pull requests. I believe this has been addressed, and we also discussed the other issue we spoke about on tonight's stream, but I think that will need additional testing. Okay, so I'm going to close and comment that. Sorry, I cannot attend. Apparently only open to professionals and students. Oh man. I don't know why I'm doing a talk there then. But anyway, so there's a couple of things in here. There's a couple of pull requests I wanted to have a look at. And I wanted to revert. So I'll say before I look at these pull requests, Kim, I was planning on backing out the change that I made to Cake.Recipe to pull out the changes specifically around the ReSharper global tools. So based on the discussion that we had, I think it makes sense to have a separate add-in. So I think for now we should go back to the previous way of doing it. Thoughts on that before I go and revert that commit? Because yeah, I think that's what I want to do, if I'm honest. Because that would have been this one. This will need change once the upstream support for that goes in. So we do, so but for now, within this release of Cake.Recipe, what I'm suggesting is we fall back to the way it used to work, which was it would only run the command line tools on Windows, and then we create a new add-in for Cake.JetBrains. We then incorporate that into Cake.Recipe, and then we try and figure out why it's broken on certain different operating systems. So yeah, that's what I'm suggesting. Who cares about Mac anyway? No comment. No comment. So if I go over here and look at 673, let's go in here, 673. Does it that way, but not the other way. Interesting. Okay. So how many commits do we have here? We did two things. How very dare you? I'm on a Mac as well, Brett. So it's all just these haters. Both of these guys are Linux folks through and through. They'll talk your ears off about using Linux all day. I think what I want to do is how many commits did I do here? It was just the one. So I'm going to back that commit out because I don't think I want to do it anymore. Professional driver installers. So I can say that I'm a Windows and Mac guy. Windows predominantly. I know how to open Finder on Mac, so that's a good start, right? Yeah, I'm going to back out this commit. So I'm going to take this one and I'm going to say revert this commit. Revert it. I'm going to take it out. It's coming out. Don't want it anymore. Sudo Finder. No. Here we go. Have to use Windows for work, but without that, I wouldn't have met the Choco community. It's true. It's true. I'm using sudo on my Windows machine. What are you talking about? I can do sudo chocolatey. Look at this. Watch me go. Look at that. Sudo chocolatey. So if I come over here and just do a new... Oh, I won't be able to do it there. This one? Oh, that's admin too. PowerShell. Sudo choco. Look at that. Just because you can. Sudo all the things. So over here, I'm going to say reverting that. Beautiful. And if I go back over here and I go over here, I'm going to reopen this issue and I am going to remove the milestone for now. Sudo. No, I don't think so. Oh, I see. Okay, Kim. Get it. No, you definitely shouldn't need to do that. Unless it's a really stubborn thing that you're looking for. Reopening this issue for now, since there are problems running the global tool on Linux, and also the suggestion is to create a new Cake.JetBrains add-in rather than trying to force the existing dupe finder and inspect code aliases to use the new global tool. Okay. So comment that. I did the revert, so I should be able to do git push upstream. What am I saying? Sad to see someone give up what he stands for. Gary, the Windows fanboy, now wearing earpods and streams from his Mac. What is the world coming to? And running Windows VM on his Mac. I am doing that. Installing Windows on this Mac would be an option. So it would be an option, but I haven't done that either. So yeah, I should go back to my blog. The tagline on my blog is what is it? I forget what it actually is. Ramblings and ponderings of a Microsoft fanboy. So I think that strictly that's still true. I mean, oh, actually, look, I've got a different hat on today. I preempted this discussion. So yeah, I'm still. I think I'm still there. It's just that I've got a Mac now. So, what can you say? So I've reopened this. I think that will actually break some of the PRs. So I'm going to say that we don't need this one now. I'm going to say this is no longer required as global as JetBrains global tool has been removed for now. So I'm going to close that and say thanks but no thanks. I'm going to copy that and I'm going to do the same here. What Kim said should be changed to ramblings and ponderings of a former. I accept pull requests. The blogs on GitHub, so I might accept it. I don't know. Okay, so where do we get to? So if we do this and we do GHPR list, what we should be able to do is rebase the other one, hopefully. So if we do GHPR checkout 693, git rebase on develop. I'm surprised that worked. Git push -f. See if that works. On a side note, I still think we should add a Cake Chocolatey package that depends on Cake.Portable. That way you could run Cupcake to update Cake on your machine just for the fun of it. I don't know what to say there. I don't know. I really don't. You have the power to do such a thing, Maurice. You do. So I've just rebased this PR with the change, which was to bump the command line tool version of the JetBrains tools to the latest version. So I'm going to say that that's good. And I'm going to approve that. And let's have a quick check of something here. So I'm going to grab a copy of that. I'm going to say here JetBrains ReSharper command line tools. JetBrains.ReSharper.command line tools. I think there will be an existing one, which is this one. And I'm going to say that that's no longer on there. That's no longer on there. And I'm going to say that this one, oops, this one is superseded by this one. So 691. I'll add that one onto the milestone because that's what's actually going to ship, and that's going to become that one. So assuming that the CIs on here pass, which they have, I'm going to say that this is good to go, so we can do that. And then if we do git checkout develop, git fetch upstream, we should then be able to do a git rebase upstream develop. We should be able to do a git branch -d on there, git push to origin. And then we should be able to do GHPR list again, GHPR checkout of 690. I'll rebase this one on develop as well. And then we should be able to push that up to here. That will give us this one updated. There isn't a update, same feature as this one. Okay, so what Pascal has added here is the ability to have it report. So Cake.issues will now report identified issues directly onto a GitHub PR if you're running the build on GitHub Actions. So that is in there. Now what I want to check on here though is Cake.issues.recipe. I think we've already updated this one as part of we have. So I need this one. I'm going to say this one. I'm going to say superseded by this one. Comment on that one. Oh, we didn't have that one on there. Oh, it was because it was on here. So I see. Okay. So let's drop the one from. Let's drop it from here and drop it from here, and we'll say that this one was superseded by this one. So that's where the link wasn't quite in play. So we'll say superseded by this one. So the one that we're actually going to ship is 403. So this is going to be an improvement, and this is going to be a milestone. So assuming that that builds, we can get that merged in, and then actually making better progress tonight than I thought I was going to do, we might be able to get to what Manfred wants me to do, which is to set up some CI stuff. So let's review this to say that that looks good to me. That looks good to me. It will report it as checks on. Yes, it will. Yes, sorry, my terminology was a little bit off there. So that's that done. So git checkout develop, git fetch upstream, git rebase upstream develop. I didn't spell that right. Git push origin. No, not CI stuff for Cake.Recipe. We're changing things completely. Git branch -d of feature. Right. So we've updated those PRs. So I've got one thing left to check with Pascal, and assuming that he's okay with it, I should now be able to publish Cake.Recipe. So that's going to happen soon, right? I've been talking about it for long enough. I'm going to ship it because I want to get it off my plate. So if we go over to what we're going to look at next is, let me find it. Let me find what I want to talk about. let's have a look in here for tweets and blah blah blah. Maybe I'll just use this one now. Click on this, I'll come over in a second. Copy. So our friend from the Chocolatey community, Manfred, is doing a workshop on Chocolatey at the open source automation days in Munich. And in order to facilitate that, if I go over here to Chocolatey, then there are repositories in here that are workshop ones. So this one here is a workshop that myself and Paul gave. We've given it a couple of times now. So we gave it at WinOps in 2019, and we also did it at Microsoft Ignite 2019 as well. So I think I'm right in saying that Manfred has stolen, and by that I mean borrowed. Oh, hold on. On a side note, but only if there's also two additional packages, one called with and the other with frosting. So it would be honestly, I missed that comments earlier. Sorry. And yeah, okay, yes, I should. I was coming to that. I was trying to find out the link that you wanted to send me, or you sent me earlier, Manfred, which was to where the. Oh, it's over there. That's why I couldn't see it. Okay, so copy this. So there's 3 workshops currently under the Chocolatey organization on GitHub, which are these are the ones that are, I guess we'll call them the official ones. And over here in the Chocolatey community, there is a workshop that's going to be given by Manfred, and this is over in the Chocolatey community repository. So this workshop is based, I think I'm right in saying that this is based on what's contained within here. And one of those things is the setup and configuration of a continuous integration build for the contents of the workshop. So if at any point I'm saying something that's not right, Manfred, feel free to jump in. But the way that we run this workshop is that we have a VM in the cloud. So that VM in the cloud is created using Packer and Chocolatey together. So we run a Packer build which creates a base image that has everything that's needed for the workshop to function. And then what we then use is provisioning in Azure to scale out that VM to multiple instances. And those instances can be then used by each of the people that's in the workshop, so that they've got a unique machine they can play with and follow along with basically what the presenter of the workshop is doing. And in order for those to be unique, the way that the CI is set up is that it will generate a PDF document that has a list of username and passwords that are used to log into the boxes. Now, I'm saying all of this stuff as though I did all of this stuff, and let me correct all of that, because I didn't create any of this. This workshop was originally borrowed from Stefan Scherer. I think that's how I pronounce his name. Let me find him. I forget what his Stefan Scherer. Yes, Stefan Scherer. Works at Docker, Microsoft MVP, all-round good guy. He has a workshop, which is... Where's his workshop one? Let me find it. Workshop. There we go. So you'll see here that there's a prepare VMs folder and a .circleci folder. So the original organization workshop that myself and Paul created, we stole everything from Stefan. and made it all work for Chocolatey. So he's got in his prepare VM, he does a bunch of stuff with making sure that Docker's installed and etc. etc. But the fundamental premise is the same. It's about creating a base VM in Azure that you can then spin up into multiple instances as part of the CI build. So what Manfred wants me to do is he wants me to set up the Circle CI setup on this VM or on this repository, so that when a new VM is spun up or multiple instances of that VM is set up, it will send a notification into a Slack channel that we have, which is then, here's the PDF that you can print out, cut all the username and password into single bits of paper. You then hand out to the folks in the workshop. They can log into the VMs, and then at the end of the workshop, you tear down all the VMs, and everybody's happy. So 200% stolen, borrowed. I remember handing out the credentials. That's the ones. So that bits of paper are all that's what we need to do. So what I need to try and remember is how to log into Circle CI and see where that setup is done, so that I can set up a new build. And now I'm going to do this probably off screen so that I don't give away any secrets that I don't want to. But let me just log into Circle CI down here and see what happens. I'm going to log in with GitHub. So I'll maybe talk through what I'm doing. I'm not going to let folks see it because that would be bad. Select an organization. Select the organization where you'd like to work today. Well, that's interesting. Let's click on that one. What's that? I remember handing it. Yep, I knew I met you somewhere, Maurice. Did you know Manfred? I can't remember it. I can't decide if you guys are joking or not. So let's have a look. So there is a setup over here, and this setup has, okay, so this one has been run. So I need to decide how to do the same thing for well, that's a shame. So Circle CI is currently not showing that I have access to the Chocolatey community organization. So if you just updated permissions, let's click on this one. So it's not one that I use a lot, Kim, either. I'll be honest. But it's the one that Stefan used. So again, the whole concept of borrowing, stroke stealing, we just went with it. So I'm going to click grant on here to allow that to flow through. Okay, so now if we go back to Circle CI, I should be able to see that one. I log back in here. And so the way that the setup works is you do commits into the repository. Each commit into the repository will kick off a CI build, obviously. That CI build will, first of all, it will attempt to create the base image in Azure. And then what you can do, and you can actually look at the history, if we go back over to this one, for example, if we look at the releases here, then the way that if I create a tag called ChocoIgnite-55, what this will do is it creates a tag build, and that tag build will take this, it'll use this first part as the prefix for the VMs that are spun up, and the 55 here is how many of those base VMs to spin up. So in this case, when we were at Ignite, we created 55 machines in the cloud, and then we tore them all down again. So there's obviously the test ones that go with it. So we were testing, so that was the WinOps 51. So what Maurice would have to do is he would, not apologies. What Manfred would have to do is he would have to get to the point where the base VM is working the way he wants it to, and then once it works, he would create a tag release that will then generate the VMs in the cloud, and everybody's happy. So, what I'm looking at here is if I go into projects here, it would be a bad idea to put a 9,000 yes at the end, because yeah, bad things would happen. So don't do that. Don't do that. So where did that go? Let me have a look and let me remind myself about how this works. Ooh, project settings. It's over here. So there they are. Environment variables. Okay, cool. Oh, that's bad though. I was hoping to get those out of there. Where do you want these builds to run, Manfred? Are you, or let me say that differently. Where are you intending on these VMs to be running? Are they running in your own Azure account or in the Chocolatey account? Because I need to know that information in terms of creating environment variables and things so that it will do the right thing. So if I go over here and go in here, Chocolatey somewhere. Okay then, let's click on this button. So I'm going to create a new Circle CI project, and I'm going to create setup project on the Chocolatey Workshop open source. That's this one. I'll commit the config below. So no, you should have that already, don't you? So if I go over here and look at Circle CI, then you have a config YAML file. So I'm going to say use existing config. You have you added a config.yaml file? Yes, we have. If you've already added, you can start building. Okay, start building. Okay, I fully expect that this is going to break, but it's running. So I was actually going to check something here as well. So I'm going to fork this so I can have a play with it. So cd up to here, cd into Chocolatey community, git clone this guy, back to here. I've got access to a resource pool called, okay, I may have to talk to Paul about that and make sure that our ducks are in a row. cd into Chocolatey workshop, git remote add upstream this one, and then code into there. So the build failed. That's fully expected. I should be able to add you into this. How do I do that then? Project settings, Slack integration, API, environment advanced. No. How would I add you into here? Now, the thing I wanted to check, Manfred, was I know that you borrowed this, but how much of it did you borrow? So, for example, organization. Okay, there's nothing in there. Pair VMs, scripts. Where's the thing I'm looking for? I think it's in, where's the Packer build? What's in here? Yeah, this. Did you change that in your one? Oh, yeah, we did. Oh, we can maybe change that though. Do you mind if I change this, Manfred? I should change this to be this guy. We've implemented fully automated build to run all creds. Oh no, that was all creds to that one. Sorry, I'll leave that one. Sorry. So this one here. Okay, so you have. So you've removed the references to the original one in terms of the Packer build. So that's good. So if we go back over here, then the pipeline failed. Failed. Packer validate. Why did the Packer validate fail? Packer validate. Exit. Okay, that's fine. So it doesn't have a client ID, client secret, or subscription ID. That's fine. And the other one, the terraform validate, failed because permission denied. That's interesting. The create passwords sh ran with a permission denied. Interesting. So if we go, if we go in there and we go in here and we say terraform validate, it's running that. That is currently causing it to fail. So what is that doing again? Can't even remember where that thing is. Terraform. Create passwords. Oh. I wonder. Is that just a permissions issue on the... Sorry, I had an email come through that I was looking at. Have you chmodded that file? Where did you create this repository? Manfred, did you create this on a Windows VM? If so, have you chmodded those to be executable? Because if not, you might have to do that. But for now, if I go over to this one, project settings, environment variables. Yeah, I need to figure out. So the CI build is created. I'll need to speak to Paul about. Okay, so I think we would need to chmod those, I think, to make them work. But the CI build is there. It doesn't run currently because I need client ID, client secret, subscription ID, various other things to make this thing hang together. So I'll need to speak to Paul. I'll put a note in to speak to Paul about that. Speak to Paul about Circle CI. So I can do that. It would be nice to get you into this project to be able to see it, but I don't know off the top of my head. To answer your question in Slack, Manfred, yes, I created a auto-updating package for the ProGet package on Chocolatey.org, and I sent that to Inido for them to take ownership of. But to the best of my knowledge, they haven't done anything with it. So I don't know what the state of play there is. Was that a question for me? Oh no. So you're saying it was. Interesting. In which case I'll need to look into what's going on with the. It could be something in here itself. that is causing it to not run. We can look into it once I get the actual, once we get the actual full build set up. So while I'm here though, how do I add someone? Add someone to Circle CI project. How do I do this? How do I invite a team member in Circle CI? That sounds like what I want to do. You should be able to send a personal link. Huh. That seems a little bit too easy. Copy. I'm sending you a link in Slack, Manfred. Can you, if you hit that and log in with GitHub? That was your first time on a stream, was it? Buddies? Oh, look at that. Look at that. That was a while ago. I'm just looking at the Circle CI to see if there's an obvious place where I can add permissions, but I'm not seeing. So I'm just, if you can check, Manfred, that would be good. Just having a quick look here. No, okay. Oh, what's this? Oh, look at that. Copy. Paste. Look at that. When was that? March 2019. Seems like an age ago. So you're signed in, Maurice. I keep doing that. You're signed in, Manfred. So do you see the failed build that occurred a while back, 10 minutes ago? So you see the failed build, and you see the failed terraform validate and the failed Packer validate. Is that correct? If so, I think I've done what I signed up for tonight, which is to get the Circle CI build set up. But there'll be some additional follow-up work with Paul to get the environment variables and things set up. So have you tested the Packer build at all? Have you tested the Packer build locally? So nay to what? All right, okay. I should probably go and have a look to see what you're doing as well, to see what, have a sanity check of what we're doing. So in Azure, we've got a Packer build which is doing stuff. So the Packer build doing stuff is, so I'm going to assume that no was to running the Packer build locally. Is that correct? Never tested the Packer build locally. I am signed in. I don't see the project, but it could be due to my permissions on the project. Could be, Maurice. So these are environment variables that we need. And then what are we actually doing here? So we're running Packer provision. So let's have a look. What's Packer provision doing? Right host to do. Love it. Love it. Okay. Okay. When's this talk again, Manfred? When's it meant to be happening? I've already forgotten. Lost the link. Where is it? I think it was the same one, wasn't it? Munich. I'm seeing a date. When is it? Oh, that's Florian Lick. 19th. Okay, so we've got a little bit of time. Okay. So we've got a little bit of time. But so in terms of the setup of this, so what do you want the base image to have? Is it literally just a blank VM, or are you already putting Chocolatey on it, or is the intention to get them to install Chocolatey as part of the workshop? If it's just a base VM, then that's really, really simple. But if there's, we may obviously want to put some more stuff in there to actually do some work. So if we look at what was done on the Chocolatey workshop, if we go over here and look at the prepare VMs scripts, then there's a lot more stuff going on in here. No Choco. Okay, fine. So really the workshop setup really then is more about the setting of the username and passwords and using Terraform to spin up the instances. Okay, that's fine. Okay, that sounds good. That sounds good. Because in this workshop, as an example, we do a bunch of stuff, which is to install Chocolatey, install CCM, install some shared applications, set up and configure Nexus, lots of things. So that the running instance in this workshop is a fully provisioned setup machine ready for package internalization, etc., etc., etc. But this workshop that Manfred's doing is, here's a VM, let's get started, let's go and install Chocolatey. So block 1, Chocolatey installation. Okay, makes sense. Installing packages from the repository, creating and installing your own packages, good. Publishing packages, setting up an internal Chocolatey server, hence the installation and setup of something. Gotcha. Updates. Speaking about box starter. Okay, sounds good. No, I understand that. I understand. Yes, but the point I was making was that in this setup, we do a lot of setup and installation and provisioning of the base VM, so all of that stuff's already on there. But those are Chocolatey for Business components. What you're aiming at is Chocolatey open source, so there's not as much work that needs to be done on the base Packer VM. Okay, and then I'm assuming that you haven't touched any of the Terraform stuff. So once the base VM's there, then Terraform then has a setting up and provisioning of the virtual networks and subnets, etc., so that multiple instances of the base image are then created. So it's quite fun watching all this spin up, actually. You can just sit in there and watch it, and like I say, tens of VMs all spin up in a row. It's quite impressive when it all works. Yep, no, understood. Open source automation is. I get it. I get it. Okay, so I've done what I can just now, I think, Manfred. So it's good to go. I'll speak to Paul tomorrow, and we should hopefully be able to get that base VM spun up, and then we can test out the tagging of that commit to then generate VMs from there. Okay, so in the 21 minutes that I've got left, what should I work on, or what should we talk about? I've got pretty much everything that I wanted done tonight. I need to talk to Pascal about that thing. 7 minutes. But box starter PRs. There were some things in Git tools. The box starter stuff, probably not something we can discuss on a stream, Manfred. I wouldn't have thought, based on the one that's immediately coming to mind. Also, that's more of a Paul thing, not a Gary thing. So, no, I'm not going to do that. Yeah, there's some work to be done in here. Let's get the easy stuff out of the way first. So, there's a couple of PRs here. So let's get these out of the way. So this was bumping those two things. So let's get this out of the way. Let's say looks good to me. And let's do this. Let's change this. This is a shipping Microsoft dependency injection. We ship that, so that becomes an improvement. And this will go out on the 0.12. So let's do this. And I don't have to do the dance that I did before because this repository is configured with Dependabot. So Dependabot comes along with some things to do this. So rather than me checking it out, rebasing it, and doing it all locally, I'll just ask Dependabot to do it for me. Or you could dump your input into the latest comments on. I wasn't ignoring it. I have it marked as unread on my local system that I use. But let's have a little discussion. Let's open this up and see where we're at. Oh, I remember. The upshot was that we don't want to do it. Is that right? I did see these comments. That's probably why I've been avoiding the issue. I'm not sure about copying. Thing is, if we copy an editor config next to the CS project file after testing, if one is already there and such, we could nevertheless override settings. Avoid overriding a physical file. Catch up. Personally, that is the approach I would like, especially considering that I typically have a root editor config file in the root repository and only separate. So I mean, so let's take a step back again. So the driving force behind the suggestion for adding style cop rules was to try and, well, both style cop rules and editor config file was to bring some sort of parity across projects that want to opt in to having those guidelines. Now, I think the ones that we have just now around things like the icon makes perfect sense. We are delving into an area where dictating the rules becomes difficult, challenging even, because different folks and different teams and different projects are going to have different inputs. So what I was kind of suggesting was go for the bare minimum that we can all agree to. So as an example, it's always a difficult one, but using statements inside or outside the namespace. If our decision as a guideline for projects is that the using statements are outside the namespace, then we apply that rule. And then from there, it will be flagged as a warning stroke error in the build system. But if we can't even agree on the simple ones, then maybe having style cop stroke editor config doesn't make any sense. And I'm okay with that. But what it might lead to is me doing my own. But that's me as a maintainer of multiple add-ins. At least then I would have a package, a NuGet package, that I could also add as a dependency on the project, so that it would have my rules and my setup, so I didn't have to do it in multiple places. But yeah, if we can't come to a consensus even between the three of us, then maybe it isn't a good idea, and maybe we should just avoid it and only add in the things that are specifically guidelines that we do want to have them addressed. But even that though, Maurice, it's not just as simple as that. Oh no, I get it. I get that, Nils. I do. So what Nils is saying is, unlike rules files, there are only so many edit configs, and they are hierarchically structured. Absolutely. So my pushback is mainly for editor config, not for. But the way that things seem to be going is that the style cop rules will ultimately go into the editor config files, and I think we've spoken about that before, though, right? So if we were to go down the route of adding style cop rules, I think they would go into the editor config file, and for me, it would make sense that editor config file, or the one that comes in this guidelines package, would sit beside the CS proj file. But that would mean that would then win in terms of your root level editor config file. If you had something set specifically, it may well be overridden by the project level one. It's easy to say that, Maurice, but it's not quite as simple as that, because the decisions that the Cake project have made may specifically we may specifically don't want those to be addressed in the add-in ones. It's not quite as simple as that. It is a standard, but it's a standard that's been decided between the Cake team. Now what we're saying is that potentially anyone taking the guidelines package will have to adhere to this set of rules, and that is a big step. And I don't know if we're, based on what Kim's saying, based on what Nil's saying, I don't think we're at that point. So it's an interesting one. I mean, we can. I'm certainly not a dictatorship, so I'm not going to force this onto anyone. I do think things like the icon file being there makes sense, because if this is a Cake add-in, then having the icon file to match that is something that we should and can enforce. Well, we can, but we certainly should. But conventions and rules for code, it is a difficult one. It's a fine line, without any doubt. So what's going on here? Is it still doing? Oh, it's still building that. Why is there so many? Oh, you've just updated a PR as well. Is that a safe for work YouTube video? Yeah, that's a big speech there. I'm not going to listen to all of that. Which is also why I mentioned in one of my comments to only check for the presence of an editor config file. The possibility. So that I think is maybe a good first step then, Kim. Yeah. So perhaps we have a guideline. Perhaps the guideline is, do you have an editor config file? And if you don't, flag that as a warning saying that you should. I think I'm okay with that. as a baby step, we could say, do you have an editor config file in place? And flag that as a warning. I think that one makes sense to me, and potentially, as you say, a style cop or a rule set file, either one or the other. Yeah, I think that makes sense. I would be okay with that. So there's another PR just went in, which was updating the init command. Or did I read that wrong? Did I read that wrong? Docs. Update 294. Oh, I see. So this one I haven't looked at all yet, Kim. So this PR about fine grain template, I haven't looked at it at all. And I did see one of your comments that said something along the lines of, "This is a big change." Oh wow! So I haven't looked at this one at all. So this is not going to get reviewed in the next 9 minutes, I don't think. But I can promise to have a look at it, but not in the next 9 minutes, I don't think. So lots of changes to the docs, which is always a good. What's that? What's image responsive? What does that do? It's a class being added, but what does it do? That's a bootstrap video, but what does it do? Bootstrap. Responsive images. Images in Bootstrap are made responsive with applied to an image. It can scale to the parent element. Interesting. To allow the image to be automatically be resized depending. I don't think I knew that. I mean, my CSS knowledge and Bootstrap knowledge is minuscule. So what happens then? Do I? Oh, look at that. But you don't need to have. You don't need to have additional files created. It's just doing a resizing on the fly. Is that correct? To allow the image to be automatically be resized depending on the size of the screen of the user. Called image fluid in v4, but YM.recipe uses 3.6. Oh, I see. Okay. It's even smaller than your CS. Oh, I've got no claims to any of this stuff. I leave a lot of this stuff. And in terms of what I do on my day-to-day job, I leave all of that to Steph because she knows far more about it than I do. It doesn't resize, it only changes the displays. Okay, that makes sense. Interesting. So, okay, so if I go over to my fanboy page and I look at this, then these pictures, they don't scale very well. And by that I mean at all on a mobile phone. So potentially adding something like that would make these images look better on my mobile. Would that be as simple as that? Because yeah, on my phone it doesn't look very good at all. The images look massive in fact. I'm fairly sure. Let's go and have a little look. Oh, no, I get that, but I'm fairly sure Bootstrap is included already because it's using YAM as well. So because on my phone, I mean, it's not terrible, but it's also not amazing. Maybe I should try getting another phone. No. Okay, so let's get. Oh, it worked. So let's do this one. Let's go back to here. If I could still get a Windows phone, then I would have a Windows phone. But I jumped to the fruit-based one because they stopped making it, and I'm not sold on the whole Surface or the Duo thing. I'm not sold on it. Not yet, anyway. So which one? This was CD Log. So CD Log, we shipped that as part of our offering as well, because it goes to the client. So that can go in there, that can go in there. Old wounds with the Windows Phone, because that was what I ran for a long time. Happily ran for a long time. Okay. What was I going to say there? Oh, have we all been playing with? I'm going to do a stream about it at some point. But have we all been signed up to Codespaces yet? What Maurice said there about running Cake from his phone. This kind of opens up the potential for doing code from my phone in a way that allows the code still to be running somewhere. But I've been accepted to it, and I've been reliably informed by one of the head honchos at GitHub that I'm allowed to show it on a stream. So I think I would do a stream about it at some point to have a play with it, because it's pretty cool. Because you create, you define, or they have what they refer to as a kitchen sink Docker container that will, if you don't specify anything, that's what will run in your code space when you create it. But you can have full control over what that Docker container contains, so that when you create a code space, you define it within your repository, it spins it up, and then in the browser, you're writing code in Visual Studio Code in the browser, and it's running and compiling and doing all this sort of stuff in the background. It's mind-boggling. For now, I've only used Codespaces in a VS Code Docker container. I had a Linux phone once. I run apt-get install OpenOffice for the people who want to look at it. That's scary. But no, Codespaces would allow me on my phone to run up the code space in my phone, in the browser, then type code and have that code run and execute and compile in the code space. It's kind of mind-boggling. So if nothing else comes up, I think I might play with Codespaces in an upcoming stream. So I was on the OpenMoko train. I don't know what the OpenMoko train is. I'm maybe showing my OpenMoko is a project to create a family of open source mobile phones, including the hardware specification. I've been talking too much tonight. Never heard of it. Never heard of it. I have to say that this is not a pretty looking phone, whatever this is. Project dedicated to delivering mobile phones with an open source software stack, formerly associated with OpenMoko Inc. Nowadays, simply a gathering of people with shared goal of free the phone. Oh wow. Never heard of it. No, never heard of it. Anyway, I think that's me for tonight. But yeah, future stream, if it's of interest, we'll play with Codespaces, because I think it's got a lot of promise. I'll be honest. I think this is going to be pretty cool to have set up. So anyway, recap? What did we do tonight? Reviewed some issues with Cake.Recipe, fixed one of them potentially. Need to speak to Pascal about the other one. Looked at the PRs into Cake.Recipe, got those merged in. Looked at the CI setup for the Chocolatey open source workshop that Manfred's doing. Reviewed a couple of PRs and got them merged into Git Release Manager. There's more work to be done on Git Release Manager, so might have time this week, Kim. I won't commit to anything, but I might have time to look at that. So that's it then. That's all I've got. So appreciate you all hanging out tonight. If anybody's left from the raid that came in from Microsoft developers, happy to have you along. Hope this was of interest. And for if that's everything, you're already on the wait list for Codespaces. We'll notify you when you. Oh, okay. So I'm trying to remember. I've had it for a couple of weeks now, but I haven't played with it yet. No, well, I haven't played with it properly. There was a brief introduction from as part of the live coders group that I'm a member of. There was a brief introduction to the process, what it does, and all that sort of stuff on the live coders Discord channel. So that's how I knew about it, and that's how I have been told that I'm allowed to look at it on stream, because that's the thing I was holding off on. I didn't want to show it on stream if I wasn't allowed to, but I've been confirmed that I can do it. So both Kim and Maurice are both waiting. That's unfortunate. What are you sending me now, Manfred? Translate tweet. That doesn't ring a bell. Dinosaur invites for. That is the open world. Never heard of it. Last used back in 2015. I love this brick. I went to look for one of my original Windows Phone handsets the other day. I couldn't find it. I'm talking about one of the original Windows CE ones. I went to look for it because I wanted to have a play with it. I couldn't find it. I'm fairly sure it's not. I knew that someone was going to say it, but no, it's not COVID. I've been talking too much tonight, I think. So it's just, I've got something at the back of my throat, and that's why I'm trying to drink some, but I've got literally nothing left in my can. So no, it's not COVID. As my mum always used to say, only the good die young. So you've got no chance. So I don't think it's COVID. So anyway, that's me done. And on that happy note, I will sign out, and I will say I will see you on the internet. So have a good one. Oh my God! Don't look at your own old media tweets. What are you making me look at, man? I'm trying to go away. I'm trying to go home. What is that? I don't know what those cards are. I'm not one of the cool kids. Don't know what it is. Anyway, right, I'm done. I shall talk to you all later. Have a good evening, and I shall see you on the internet. Bye bye.